This is CNN.
The shuttle Atlantis gets rave reviews as it orbits Earth on the first day of a 10-day mission. And an alleged international money laundering ring with a Rhode Island connection. This is Early Prime. Hello, I'm Lou Waters. Cheryl Atkinson is off. Also ahead in this hour, charges that the government is not protecting children from dangerous toys, and a legendary oil well firefighter looks back on the challenge of a lifetime. Our top story, federal authorities say they've smashed an international money laundering ring that funneled perhaps $500 million through banks in Rhode Island. 13 people have been indicted, 12 of them have been arrested. Among the banks that allegedly took part in the scheme, Heritage Loan and Investment Company, which went under after its president allegedly embezzled $13 million. Authorities say Heritage figured prominently in the collapse of Rhode Island's banking system. Other banks also were involved, but prosecutors say those banks cooperated in this investigation. The ring allegedly laundered money for Colombia's Cali drug cartel, a rival of the more notorious Medellin cartel. President Bush promises to veto Congress's wide-ranging crime bill. He says it's not tough enough. House and Senate negotiators approved the legislation last night. Among other things, it would require a 5-day waiting period for handgun purchases and would reimpose the death penalty for about 50 federal crimes. But the president says some provisions, like those that limit court appeals, have been watered down too much for his liking.
2.5 years ago, I sent to the Congress comprehensive crime legislation to strengthen and toughen our criminal justice system. The conference committee, it's the way it works back in Washington, last night reported a bill that is simply not acceptable. So let me be clear, I would have to veto this bill because it would weaken our criminal justice system.
The House is expected to vote on the legislation today, but Republicans in the Senate are threatening to block the bill with a filibuster. A bereaved mother is suing Milwaukee police in the Jeffrey Dahmer murder case. She says racism kept the police from arresting Dahmer before her son was killed. The lawsuit targets 3 Milwaukee police officers. The mother says white police officers refused to listen to complaints of black witnesses. Instead, she says they returned a naked Laotian boy to Dahmer's apartment. Now, Catherine Lacey says their failure to arrest Dahmer resulted in her son's murder 2 months later. She is seeking unspecified damages in the death of her 23-year-old son. A realtors organization says low mortgage rates are boosting home sales just a little. Sales of existing homes crept up 1% in October, the first increase in 4 months. The National Association of Realtors says mortgage rates at their lowest level in 14 years finally may be having an impact. The tough economic times may be especially hard on the nation's children. The Children's Defense Fund says government figures show that most of the jobs lost in the recession were held by workers under 25 years of age. The fund says that means children will be pushed into poverty because most children are born into homes with parents under 30 years of age. The group says the recession pushed 840,000 children into poverty in 1990, and the group says even a robust labor market may not be enough to pull many of them back out of poverty. The White House has disputed the details of a newspaper report that says a special panel is seeking ways to overthrow Saddam Hussein. The Washington Post reports that a special interagency committee is looking into overt and covert ways to help Iraqi rebels end Saddam's rule. White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater denied that a special panel is working on the issue, but he said a deputies committee is considering options. Fitzwater reiterated that the administration does want Saddam out of power. There are reports another Western hostage will be freed from Lebanon this week. Sources linked to pro-Iranian kidnappers say American Joseph Scipio will be freed in the coming days. The 61-year-old accountant has been held captive for 5 years. Meantime, former hostage Thomas Sutherland climbed aboard a plane in Germany headed for the United States today. Sutherland and his wife left Frankfurt this morning. They're scheduled to arrive in California for a long-awaited family reunion this evening. Sutherland was freed in Lebanon last week after more than 6 years in captivity. Several firefighters were slightly injured today as they battled a brush fire in Southern California's San Fernando Valley. That fire has destroyed a barn and several other structures. Fire officials say they've contained the fire, but they warn high winds could whip up the flames again. CNN's Robert Vito has our report.
I'll look here up. For residents whose homes were in the path of the blaze, it was a long, scary night. And as they watch the fire get closer, they prepare to evacuate to safer ground.
It makes you feel like it's too close to home, you know.
Our insurance papers and all our valuables, they're in the car, they're in the parking lot, so we can make a fast getaway.
Eventually, hundreds were evacuated as the fire roared closer to homes and crept within 50 yards of a trailer park.
The police were coming up and down the street, said, "We have a major brush fire, evacuate now." Everybody got out.
Fleeing residents dodged embers as they grabbed pets, photo albums, and other keepsakes and ran down the smoky streets to places where they felt safer.
It was burning on all three sides.
Dozens of fire crews and truck companies battled the blaze against strong winds that gusted to 40 miles per hour, closing parts of freeways and blackening more than 1,000 acres. Fire officials in Southern California have warned residents that potentially this is one of the most dangerous seasons for fires in years because of extremely dry conditions. Low-flying helicopters attacked the fire, navigating slowly through the smoke, dousing hot spots that flared in some places as high as 30 feet.
It just flared up out of nowhere continuously.
By dawn, the smell of smoke hung in the air in downtown Los Angeles, 23 miles southeast of Sylmar. Fire officials say the blaze could have been a disaster, but many of the homes have fire-retardant roofs, and that's probably why none of those caught fire. Arson investigators were dispatched to the spot where the fire started, but the cause of the blaze remains unknown. Robert Vito, CNN, Los Angeles.
A tip-top performance by Barbara Bush today. The First Lady and two of her grandchildren were the stars at a tree trimming ceremony at the White House. They added the finishing touch to the national Christmas tree just outside the White House. The trio was in high spirits. They did the honors from atop a hydraulic lift. That tree and others inside the White House will be on display throughout the holiday season. Coming up on this early prime on a Monday, a hit list of toys will tell you why they're the targets of safety advocates and will explore the dangers to children. Later on, fertility for sale. We'll examine some troubling questions raised by a burgeoning business, the buying and selling of sperm and eggs. And for yuppies with puppies, pet insurance. We'll find out how that works. All ahead.
CNN's Early Prime, news and information for people in the prime of life.
Sinus pain?
Oh, it hurts really bad.
Look, all these sinus pain formulas have the same medicine.
Is that right?
But Dristan Sinus contains ibuprofen.
Great. Oh, I feel so much better. Dristan Sinus.
Tristan, the face of relief today.
In the heat of the sun. Grapefruit juice refreshes.
This week on James Bond Wednesday, 007 is launched into space to save the world.
Moonraker 1, liftoff.
James Bond Wednesday continues with Moonraker, 8:05 Eastern, Wednesday night on TBS.
Car and Driver magazine declared its road manners are in the import vein, but comfort is better. And if you're wondering what else they had to say about the new Oldsmobile 88 Royale, call 1-800-332-OLDS. We'll send you their complete test drive evaluation on videocassette, free. Because when Car and Driver says the new 88 has hit the elusive style mark, it deserves more of your time than we can give it here. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
The grit is gone. The grit is gone. Announcing the smoothest tasting, best mixing natural fiber you can buy. New Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. Same natural fiber for regularity as original Metamucil, but now completely smooth, with no more grit. Tastes like a citrus drink. The smoothest tasting, best mixing natural fiber you can buy. New Sunrise Smooth Metamucil. The grit is gone.
Beautiful.
How much?
Pulsar?
Pulsar.
I think he wants your watch.
Some things in life are worth far more than they cost.
No thank you.
Pulsar, there's no time like it.
The Institute for Injury Reduction says the government and toy makers are not doing enough to protect children from potentially harmful toys. The Institute brought dozens of potentially dangerous toys to a Washington news conference today. Among the toys, a television chair, which the Institute says has no restraints to keep a child from falling. A bathtub alarm that perhaps could influence adults to leave a child alone in the tub. Something called splat balls, a jelly-like material that comes apart and can be swallowed. These things, magic light bulbs, which may be safe if used as directed, but also can be inserted into a real light socket. And RoboCop set of miniatures appealing to but not approved for children aged 7 and under. Colorado Representative Patricia Schroeder chairs a House Committee on Children.
Children don't read the labels. Adults need to use common sense. We need to think back, and it's very hard sometimes to think back about what's dangerous and what isn't. And we need to stop thinking the Consumer Product Safety Commission is doing it all. They probably look at less than 1% of the toys that are out there. There's all sorts of imports. Even the things that they look at, we would like the standards to be tougher.
Elaine Tyrell of the Consumer Product Safety Commission was quick to defend the Commission's work.
To the contrary, I think the agency has been very responsive in dealing with children's hazards, particularly those hazards affecting toys. For example, this year we have recalled 115 different toy models, and that accounts for something like 10.8 million units of toys. In addition to that, we have been working with the U.S. Customs, going to the various ports of entry around the country, and through the programs there, looking at toys that are coming into the country. We have also been responsible for recalling another 1.7 million units of toys.
Tyrell says of 22 million children under age 6 in the United States this year, there have been 14 deaths related to toys. On another toy matter, today the AFL-CIO and the National Consumer Group are sending China a message. They're calling for a boycott of all Chinese-made toys. The U.S. groups contend China uses forced labor and child labor in manufacturing the products for export. They've been in space less than 24 hours, and the Atlantis astronauts already have accomplished the key part of their mission. CNN's Tom Montier joins us now with details of the mission. Tom.
Lou, right now we're getting some live pictures from Atlantis. They are coming up on a sunrise, as you can see here. This is the cargo bay of the Atlantis, and you can see the sun starting to peek over. They have been up for about 3 hours so far. They have started into their first full day of work. The major accomplishment, the deployment of the satellite, is already behind them. They got a rather unusual wake-up call from a television show, Star Trek: The Next Generation, something fairly appropriate to where they are.
Space. The final frontier. This is the voyage of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Its 10-day mission to explore new methods of remote sensing and observation of the planet Earth. To seek out new data on radiation in space and a new understanding of the effects of microgravity on the human body.
That was actor Patrick Stewart, who plays the captain on that show. Well, the major task has been accomplished, the deployment of the Defense Department satellite. About 6 hours after launch, it was released from the shuttle's cargo bay. What this satellite, it weighs 5,200 pounds. It is a huge satellite. It weighs that much, and it costs about $300 million. It will look for satellite views of a rocket as it is launched. Now, these were used during the Gulf War, and they managed to spot the Scud missiles as soon as they left their launching sites. There is a network of these, believed to be 7. The entire program is classified, but due to the fact that it was released aboard a space shuttle, the Pentagon has not put the secret veil on as they have in the past. So we are getting to find out more on this mission than we have previously, and that is what the next 9 days will be involved with, taking a look back to Earth and using the shuttle as a platform to study potential military uses of the space program. Lou?
Tom, what's the practical effect? It doesn't seem like it would have any direct military application to be able to take a shuttle up and observe military movements on the ground.
Well, they're going to look with a telescope from the shuttle and pick out these targets. If a shuttle mission, say, was going on at the time, they would be able to make the determination of where maybe a carrier might be, or maybe a brigade of troops might be moving. It will enable them to have a platform view with an expert. The astronaut Hennon is the only one who is not really an astronaut by training. He is an imagery analyst, and he'll be looking through this telescope out the top window, and he has a list of targets, including one that is Ford Island in Hawaii and another one in South Africa. Those are the unclassified, but there are several other classified targets. He will simply use this telescope to track and follow these military objectives and pinpoint where they are and where they're going. So there is a use for this platform up, as we've seen before in some of the pictures. The images are of high resolution, and if you could pick out an oil fire in Kuwait, for example, you can pick out tanks and other military weapons as they're being moved.
So this is a matter of testing whether or not it can be done, because in time of trouble, you'd either have a shuttle up there or you wouldn't.
That's right. I think it's more for the image analysts to determine if they can, from that altitude, effectively see things and bring their targets into, you remember during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we used satellite photographs to show the silos in Cuba.
Yeah.
It's similar to that, but with an onboard human observer rather than satellite imagery.
All right. Tom Mintier, who continues to follow the Atlantis mission for CNN. And ahead on this early prime, hearing after the age of 30. It could be fading fast for men. We'll tell you more about that. Also, fertility for sale. Some women are willing to pay big money to have a baby.
The average cost of this luxury car is $37,000. The average cost of the American home is $134,000. The average cost of a private college education is $45,891. Yet the cost to examine this magazine is nothing. Just call this number now, and we'll send you Money Magazine to examine risk-free. If you like it, do nothing, and we'll continue your subscription with articles on better ways to cut your taxes, how to look for a smart investment that delivers exceptional returns. Money will show you ways to improve your lifestyle, get more value from your home. We'll even outline 12 steps to financial security. So in a world where costs are high and so are risks, take advantage of Money's risk-free offer. Call this number now. We'll send you your first issue of Money Magazine to examine risk-free. If you find Money is not for you, then just write cancel on the bill and send it back. The issue is yours to keep free. Otherwise, we'll continue your subscription with 12 more informative, entertaining issues for a total of 13, payable in 4 monthly installments of just $8.99 each. Your taxes average $4,800. A retirement plan costs $2,400 yearly. Yet these financial guides cost you nothing. Because if you call now, we'll also send you Money's Financial Advisor free. It's a 3-part series that helps you manage your money, build a future, and achieve your dreams. So why not call now and examine your first issue of Money risk-free? Plus, get the Financial Advisor free. And while the average American phone bill is $45.33, this phone call will cost you nothing. Call this